No, we're not.
Fun?
No, if the Knicks are losing, I'm gonna be miserable.
Be fine.
I'm gonna be miserable. You know what? I'm saying Knicks are winning tomorrow.
Oh.
Fuck it. Here we go. Knicks are winning tomorrow. See that guy? No, that's the wrong guy. See that guy? See him? He's over his assist prop. Jalen Brunson. He's going over his assist prop.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Skubal again. Skubal's winning the Cy Young, no shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything, like every single category. Fried is right there with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Face. He's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, back with you for our Thursday edition of the show. And we know some destinations in the National Hockey League Stanley Cup Finals and the NBA Finals as well, as Oklahoma City and the Florida Panthers both know they're headed to the championships. We'll get to that in just a minute. Also, we'll check in on the very latest on the golf course. Big event coming up this weekend, the Memorial. Brady Kannon will join us here on the show. As always, we have guest contributor from Sporting News and a whole lot more. We update you with everything happening in the world of sports and sports betting. So let's get started. And before we get to the NBA and the NHL, a really big story with the Major League Players Association and DraftKings having a settlement. And let me kind of give you some details around this. There was a lawsuit against Underdog for using their name and likeness on their apps and websites, things like that. Also, Bet365 was involved in a Players Association lawsuit. So they've come to a settlement. Originally, they were accused of stealing the images and likeness without consent. And the case against Underdog was voluntarily dismissed just days before the argument. So we don't know exactly what that settlement is. But needless to say, there's now one coming here against DraftKings. And we'll see if they're settling that. They're supposed to get started on that in May of 2026. But these usually get settled out of court. And hopefully this will be the case for them as well. Okay, there's a determination. We don't need court. We don't need a judge. We don't need a jury. The Oklahoma City Thunder, way better than the Minnesota Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals. It is over. It was not close. 124-94. That was the final there. Oklahoma City, by the way, was up 26-9 at the end of the first quarter, which is what the NBA hates because then you could turn the game off. But that's what happened. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was the Western Conference Finals MVP. He also was the NBA's MVP. What did he do last night? 34 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. The Thunder have won by 30 points or more 4 different times during the playoffs. This is why they are a huge favorite to win the championship, no matter who comes out of the East. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander after the game talking how important it was to wrap it up at home and not go back to Minneapolis.
I wanted 2 things. I didn't want to go back to Minnesota, travel-wise. And then I wanted the fans to be able to enjoy the moment with us. I wanted them to be able to see it unfold in front of their eyes. I wanted them to be able to celebrate tonight in our building, go home, get drunk, whatever they do. I wanted them to have fun with the moment. And, it was good. I just wanted to make sure that, above all, I could give my energy and my effort to try to give these fans what they deserve.
Obviously, it's great to feel like you didn't leave anything on the table, which I feel like we didn't tonight. You can always be better. We're going to look and see how we can be better. But overall, I feel like we played a really good game. Everyone down the roster who got in played well, and, it's a lot easier on the nerves than those close games. So,
yeah, I just thought the mental toughness by the team was great. Obviously the opportunity to close the series out, obviously up 3-1, it's easy to drift ahead. And we didn't do that at all. We just played the next possession and did a great job, just stacked them up and really, kept the foot on the gas for the entire 48 minutes.
Still a bright future, of course, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards and company, although Edwards did not have a great Western Conference Finals. Edwards after the game talking about the future, and Chris Finch essentially saying after the game and after the first quarter kind of knew things were going in the wrong direction.
Then we missed a bunch of shots early. Jaden had some good looks. Mike had some good looks. They didn't go down. They led the runouts, and then we started trying to force it all, individually, one-on-one. And I think we had, a bunch of turnovers in that next phase of the first quarter. And, that obviously got the crowd into it, them going. And then we just struggled to find a rhythm. Everyone was kind of trying to do it all by themselves. We lost our connectivity, but all credit to the Thunder. They certainly deserved this. They played outstanding. And we came up short in a lot of ways.
They came ready to play. We didn't. When you lose a game like this, it's not really too much to break down. They just did what they were supposed to do and won the game.
Why don't you think you guys came ready to play?
I don't know. They dominated the game from the tip. And can't do nothing but tip my hat to those guys. They came ready, man. So good job by them.
In the Eastern Conference Stanley Cup Finals, the Florida Panthers win again, this time over the Carolina Hurricanes 5-3. And folks, they're headed back to the Stanley Cup Finals for the third straight time. That is right. They lost the first time, beat Edmonton the second time. They may face off with Edmonton again in the Stanley Cup Finals. The last goal was an empty netter and gave the Panthers a 2-goal lead. Oddly enough, after the game, not a lot of celebration for the Panthers. Obviously, they have bigger goals to win the championship, says head coach Paul Maurice.
So we'll enjoy the game. I'll enjoy the game tonight, just the specific game, because it was clearly not easy, and there were ups and downs and the emotions and the stage of it. I'll enjoy that tonight. The bigger picture has changed maybe a little bit for our team. The first time, and you fight to get to the final. It's just such a big deal. And then when you do it a couple of times, you understand that, you're 3/4 of the way through and there's lots more that has to happen. So, but we enjoy that one tonight. It was all the elements that make our sport great. They're all over us, all over us. And we're serving up pizzas and we don't look like we should have made the playoffs, and then the next thing you know, we look pretty good, right? Those are two, I think Carolina's an exceptionally well-coached team, systematically and identity-wise. So, yeah, we get to enjoy it tonight.
And we'll see what happens in the Western Conference Finals, as Joe Madden will preview tonight's game and tell us whether Edmonton advances against Dallas. That's coming up in about 15 minutes here on NewsWire. Over to Major League Baseball we go. Best team in the American League just keeps on rolling. The Tigers win again. This time they beat the Giants 4-3, just like they did the day before. And just like they did the day before, they complete a 3-game sweep. Tigers win 4-3. Tommy Kahnle comes in, gets all 3 outs without giving a run, then pitches a scoreless ninth. The bullpen got the job done, and that has been the story. It's been pitching, starting pitching, and bullpen for manager A.J. Hinch, who gave them credit after the game.
Well, a lot of pitching from a lot of people. Obviously, the big moment at the end was incredible. That is a back against the wall, try to just go one hitter at a time. And when you get the first hitter, you try to get the second hitter. Once you get the second hitter, you're not out of it because Yaz is coming up. and he continued to make pitches. And then coming off of that adrenaline, you're going to go face, the meat of their order. So in the ninth, he did an incredible job, but so did Tyler Holton. And obviously Jackson, had to grind quite a bit today. So good team win. We did a lot of things right. We did a lot of things that we can review and do better, but never, ever be dissatisfied with a series sweep at home.
Meanwhile, trouble in Beantown. Red Sox just keep on losing. The Milwaukee Brewers beat them 6-5, another walk-off against Boston, and they've been walked off 7 times this season. Paul Skeens with a great start yesterday against the Arizona Diamondbacks, 6 2/3, 4 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts, ERA down to 2.15 on the season. And Pittsburgh beats Arizona. Final score there, 10-1. And the Marlins salvage a win in a 3-game series against the San Diego Padres. They were down 6-0, came all the way back. Augustin Ramirez homers, drives in 4 runs, and the Marlins win 10-8 over the San Diego Padres. Also a big game yesterday for Lance McCullers Jr. of the Houston Astros, probably his best game in 5 years, struck out 12 batters in their win as well. All right, coming up next, it's time to dive more into baseball with our friend Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News. We'll do some some AL East talk. We'll go through the latest in Major League Baseball Central Division and West and see if it's the Tigers to lose 37-20 on the season. That's the best record in the AL. Matt joins us next, tells us if it's real or not.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Look, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
And if they go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I already heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Skubal again. Skubal's winning the Cy Young, no shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything, like every single category. Fried is right there with him.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Matt Lutovsky is with us from Sporting News. We'll take a closer look at the American League, some odds to win the division, a whole lot more. Matt, welcome back. Thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it. Hope your week's off to a good start. Let's dive in. Yankees play the Angels, 3-game series. Yankees take care of business pretty easily. Although I will say that going into that series, the Angels actually playing much better baseball than I thought. But, things came crashing a little bit this week in Los Angeles, which pushed the Yankees pretty far ahead of the pack, by the way, in the American League East. And Matt, as we take a look at the odds to win the division right now, the Yankees are just way ahead at 35-20. Tampa Bay behind at 28 and 27. The Blue Jays are just kind of hanging around. The Red Sox, my gosh, they have fallen back 27 and 31, and the Orioles are going to need a serious run here to jump back in. So you look, I don't think that this should come as any surprise that the Yankees are at the top. I guess for me, Matt, the surprise is that Boston's 4 games under as opposed to 4 games over, and that essentially the Rays, at least as we stand here heading into June, appear to be their stiffest competition.
Yeah, I mean you're right about the Yankees. I think we all kind of said, "Hey, the Yankees are the best team," and they're showing it, and they're not really showing many signs of slowing down. So yeah, there's really no value in them at this point. But they are the front runners, and for good reason. Certainly the team that I would pick to win the division from here on out. But I think you're right about the Red Sox. I mean, they've hit some tough times here recently. Obviously, the Bregman injury is a very big deal for them. I still think though they have some levers to pull. We've already seen one call up. We could be getting another. I think they have some pieces if they want to try to deal. Bregman will be back healthy eventually. And I think that they're a team that can make a nice run. Can they win the division? I think that would be exceedingly difficult. But at the same time, I think they're still the best bet to potentially make that type of run and get up there and get in the playoffs. The Rays are a weird team to me, playing well recently here. But, you look at their schedule, they just have so many road games in the second half.
Yeah.
And you wonder if that's going to take a toll on them and that's going to really, sort of knock them back down to earth. I don't necessarily know if they have a home field advantage, quote unquote, right now, given their situation. But at the same time, I got to think playing as many road games as they're going to play in the second half of the season is it could additionally wear them down a bit if they're feeling that, which we all know kind of happens anyway at that time of year for most baseball teams, especially hot weather ones. So yeah, I think the East right now, I think it's the Yankees, and we're just sort of watching to see if the Red Sox show signs of life.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. The Rays are on the road more than any team in baseball starting now to the end of the year. And by the way, their home games, which they do still have a ton, I think, 30, 40, something like that. I mean, rainy season is coming here to South Florida next week. So the week after. So yeah, you're right. It's a good point. Red Sox, by the way, been walked off more than any team in baseball right now. Maybe that's what kind of gives them a little hope, is that they've hit some bad luck here. Generally, that evens itself out. And also haven't hit well in scoring position, which is another stat that gives you some idea as to the bad luck that they've had. So they could easily be 4 games over, but they're not, and you got to bank the losses. That's just the way that it goes. All right, now over to the American League Central, a clean sweep for all of the teams, almost in the Central, as the Tigers win, the Guardians win on a big home run, the White Sox beat the Mets, the Royals end up winning as well. So let's take a look at the odds now as we look at the American League Central. Beyond Detroit, I think there's a good shot that, Matt, we may get 2 teams from this division in the Central making the postseason. I really feel that way at this point. I just don't know who it's going to be. I know it's not going to be the White Sox, but I think Cleveland can never be discounted. The Twins had that rally, what was it, a month ago, to win 1 million games in a row that put them back in. And Kansas City's pitching is going to keep them in this the entire time. I guess, Matt, maybe what this division comes down to is who gets most aggressive at the trade deadline, because I think they're all going to be bunched up until then.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And, there's going to come down to some of the things you were talking about with the Red Sox, too. Just, hey, who's getting these timely hits? That is very tough to account for right now as we look at it, because the Twins and the Royals have good pitching. Their offenses are suspect, especially with the Twins, kind of injury worries. Cleveland's a team that sort of befuddled me all year, because they really, when you look at some of the underlying numbers, haven't been that good, but the record's still good. They're finding a way to win games, and we know they have talent, so that part isn't confusing. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite a race between those 3 teams for who can get in the playoffs, who can finish second and whatnot. I don't know why I kind of like the Royals. I just think that pitching is just so bankable. They have a bankable offensive superstar. Another team with, maybe some levers to pull with minor league guys. So I kind of think they're going to rise up gradually. I think the Twins will gradually sort of sink back, even though I do really like their pitching and some of their hitting when it's healthy. And then I think Cleveland's going to be there too. But, there's no doubt that Detroit's the class of this division. They just do everything well. I think we all expected them to be pretty good. I know you did, especially. And, frankly, for my taste, they've sort of they've outproduced even what I thought. And I thought they were going to be pretty good. So, yeah, they have the look of like a special team. And this is kind of a special season for them.
Yeah, and by the way, let's not discount the guy who's leading them, and AJ Hinch has been there many times before. Really good manager in baseball, one of the best. All right, so 2 teams going in different directions. The Astros are heating up. I know they lost a good pitcher, Matt, in Blanco, but McCullers gave them the best start maybe he's ever had yesterday, and that's saying a lot. He's been around a long time. The Astros are 7-3, and on the flip side, all the good feelings for the A's, unfortunately, are out the door. They've played worse baseball in May than anybody, and so headed back to kind of what we thought they were.
Yeah, I mean, they really have. I think 1-9 in their last 10, and just they're giving up runs. They're not scoring a ton of runs. It's sort of all happening all at once, what many people thought was going to happen gradually throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, Houston, obviously, we know they're a good team, great top end pitching. The injuries are starting to pile up for them, but I feel like they're used to adversity. They're fighting through. And I just think with the way they're playing right now, compared to more so how the A's are playing right now, it's like you just can see the A's continuing to sink down. Houston's going to rise and stay in that mix, because I think that's going to be another really good division race where you got some teams. No one's really separated itself from the pack. We see a lot of talent. We see a lot of good teams. And that could be another division, another race for the playoffs, last playoff spot that comes down to who gets aggressive, who makes a move, who gets that key, relief pitcher, even if it's just around the margins, because that's kind of how tightly those teams are bunched, and we know they're talented teams.
Yeah, and sort of honestly, Matt, a little unacceptable that the Rangers should be 3 games under 500. If I told you DeGrom was going to do what he's doing, you would have said, "Oh, I mean, the Rangers are probably the best team in the division." I sense some trouble there with the Texas Rangers. I don't know, but it looks a lot like last year too. All right, Matt, great to see you. Great to have you here on the show once again, and we'll catch up again next week. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it.
All right, Matt Lutovsky joining us, courtesy of Sporting News. We'll be back previewing tonight's game in the National Hockey League, and also talk about how the Florida Panthers got to the Stanley Cup Finals again. Joe Madden joins us next.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
And if they go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I already heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Skubal again. Skubal's winning the Cy Young, no shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything, like every single category. Fried is right there with him.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Let's bring in Joe Madden to talk some National Hockey League. We got the Stanley Cup Finals starting up. I believe it is late next week if all things go the right way in the Western Conference, because, Joe, the Eastern Conference is a wrap, and the Florida Panthers win again. Joe, 3rd straight year in a row. And, Joe, I live in South Florida, as you know. And in terms of dynasties in South Florida, yeah, in the 70s, the Dolphins were like, great. They were perfect. They were 17-0. And then the Heat had LeBron James and Wade and Bosh, and they won a bunch of championships too. The Panthers are getting close, Joe, to being in that category. If they win the championship again this year, not just a dynasty in South Florida, but maybe one in the NHL as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The Florida Panthers are really setting a bar. And you even heard Rob Brindamore, the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, say that last night with their style of play and how strong they're able to come out. They've taken the NHL to a different level with how they're able to get things done. So I look at this Florida Panthers team. They played an incredible game last night, but they've done so well, taking out the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5, beating the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7, and then being able to get it done. Gentleman's sweep there versus the Carolina Hurricanes in a game where it didn't start out the way they would have expected. Sebastian Aho able to come up with 2 goals in that first period to make that impactful start out there for Carolina. But Florida, with their depth and resilience, is able to fight back against the best of them. And you look at goaltending, Bobrovsky in net. He's playing at the caliber he needs to play at in the playoffs, and like we see him do. So I'm really impressed with what the Florida Panthers have been able to do to get back here for the 3rd straight season. It's pretty incredible.
It is. It really is. And that place is going to be rocking next week when they have their home games. I guess, Joe, if the Stars or Edmonton win, who gets the home ice in this series? Is it the West no matter what over the Panthers? Do they get the home ice?
Yeah, it will be the West. So we'll see Edmonton or the Dallas Stars have that home ice advantage. But for the Florida Panthers, home ice really doesn't matter. This is a team that can go out there, they can play on the road just as strongly, if not stronger in some of the cases, than at home.
Yeah, and you've been picking the Panthers all throughout, so you'll probably pick them again, I'm going to guess, in the finals here. But let's get to tonight's game where Edmonton can wrap it up as an underdog tonight. They're plus 112 on the money line, total 5.5. Dallas going into the series was a favorite. So, yeah, Joe, they got to win tonight to make that come true. Do you think that this series gets extended, and can Dallas even come back further and win the series? For some reason, I'm sniffing an Edmonton, Florida final here again. I don't know. You tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I absolutely see this being an Edmonton, Florida Panthers Stanley Cup final, and it might be the case where this is actually Edmonton's year. So not getting ahead of myself, calling Florida to take the whole cup, but I do look at this Edmonton team tonight, and I think this is going to be a hard win for them. This is going to be their first game without Zach Hyman out there on the ice. We know in that last game, he went out with injury. We also have question marks around if Connor Brown will be hitting the ice, and the Dallas Stars with home ice advantage. I do think they can extend this series. Now, are they going to extend this series and be able to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals? No, I don't think so. I think this is a win here that they absolutely can come out and get on their home ice, send it back to Edmonton, and then I'll look for Edmonton to close it out in the next game. But Dallas tonight, I think, is the right side for your money.
All right, now let's get to a couple of props here tonight. Joe, anything you like in particular? I'm seeing both teams to score in the first period at plus money.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at both of these teams, and I do think Dallas is going to be hungry. You look at them in that last game, they were able to win 61% of the faceoffs. They were getting those shots on goal. They just weren't able to hit Skinner, and we know Edmonton's game plan. They love to come out hard and fast, get that goal in the first period, and lock things down. I do think Dallas will sneak one in the net in that first period, and Edmonton will answer back. Last game was a quieter game. The 5-on-5 goals didn't come. I'm expecting the 5-on-5 conversions today, as well as a power play. As you know, the Dallas Stars, Edmonton is under their skin right now. They're taking those penalties, which will allow that conversion. And then I'm going to look at a couple players for their props here. Tyler Sequin, I really like for the goal tonight. He's coming in at plus 300. He was able to get 4 shots on goal in the last game, and he's going to really need to step up if the Dallas Stars want to get the win. And then Marchment for the point. We're actually getting Marchment for the point coming in at plus 106. 5 shots on goal in the last game, and while he's only had an assist in the series in that first game, you really see him coming out so strong out there on the ice. So both of these guys are on the same power play, on the second power play, as well as the second line. So I love looking at players where in one goal, we can see the goal and the point, Greg.
Great stuff, Joe. As always, enjoy tonight. We'll talk Stanley Cup Finals next week with you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. All the best, you guys.
Up next, Joe Pisapia joins us. We'll talk some Major League Baseball. Can the Rangers turn things around? Joe will tell us next. Don't go away.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
And if they go through Cat, that means Cat at 11-1 could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series with a rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too strong a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. You can catch Joe Pisapia every Sunday morning with Matt Stryker talking fantasy baseball, so make sure you check out that show. Also, you can catch him with me right now talking some Major League Baseball. As Joe joins us now, we'll take a look at some of the betting options for the Rookie of the Year in the National League. Joe, great to have you back here on NewsWire, and thanks for coming on. Let's dive in. I don't want to waste time here with you and I kibitzing like we always do, or else we'll run out of time.
Yes.
Blue Jays and Rangers. Blue Jays win over the Texas Rangers 2-0. Tyler Mahle's been awesome. Jacob deGrom has been awesome. The Rangers have been horrible. This one I don't get. I think there's like some serious trouble with the Rangers, maybe with Bochy and even some others. I got to be honest with you here. They have no business being as bad as they are, getting these pitching performances. And I know that Seager's been hurt, Simeon hasn't hit. I get all of that. But is it time to buy on Texas, or is this just a team that's going to have to dismantle after the season? This can't continue.
It's tricky because you look at the unsustainability of the pitching, right? Is Tyler Mahle going to pitch this well? Nate Eovaldi's been incredible, but now he's dealing with a tricep issue. Jacob deGrom starting to look like old Jacob deGrom. And then what happens? Bad start and a blister issue, right? In a finger. So, I think collectively you look at how the bullpen's performed, and it's not been great this year. And then you look at the pitching that's been, I think, a little over its heels. And the offense just has not turned things around. You're waiting at the end of April. You're saying, okay, how bad can Marcus Simeon be all year? And we're starting to get the answer to that question, which is pretty bad. They only have one player with an OPS over 800, and that guy's Corey Seager, who's just coming back now this week and has missed significant time. So it is really difficult. The hope is you get Seager back in this lineup and Langford continues to hit, and then maybe you get Garcia and Simeon and some of the other guys to turn it around. But my thing is that when that eventually happens, do you get regression from Eovaldi, who in the second half historically isn't as good as the first half, and he's not going to pitch to a 1 ERA all year? And Tyler Mahle, can he hold up at this pace over a full season? Same with Jacob deGrom. And I think that question is really one that leaves me saying I don't believe the Texas Rangers do have that run in them this year, because there's a lot of things that have to fall right for them in the next 100 games. And I just think that's asking too much.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, Mahle's been, he's having the best start to his career. 1.64 earned run average, 48 strikeouts. And, I don't think he's going to win the Cy Young Award, but let's just keep it real. Their pitching has carried them, which is never the case with the Texas Rangers, but that has been the case this season. All right, so with the Cy Young Awards and any awards, if someone's minus money in May, I got to stay away and try and find somebody else. I know that's hard to say, Joe, given that Tariq Skubal has been the best pitcher arguably in baseball this season. He's minus 125 to win the Cy Young. Max Fried is 6-1. Hunter Brown's been great. and I probably stopped the clock on Crochet. That's it. After that, I'm not really interested in Eovaldi or Jacob deGrom. So is it a 3 or 4 horse race at this point? I mean, I can't imagine betting a Cy Young Award winner in May at minus money when there's still 4 months to go. I just can't do it.
No, in fact, I think it's an opportunity if you like Fried and how he's been just incredible with that sub-2 ERA, the fact he pitches on the Yankees, the fact that he's got big-time win potential. You know, if he ends up winning 18 games this year for the Yankees, which is not out of the realm of possibility, it's going to be hard to beat him for this award, as great as Skubal has pitched, because remember, it's a media award, right? The media is the one that are voting for this, and the Yankees and Max Fried is the savior of this rotation. It's a really good narrative. Skubal, look, going back to back, sure, he's been terrific this year. The Tigers are a great story as well, but I think there's extreme value right now on Fried in the American League. Brown and Crochet are not out of it by any means yet. Brown has been terrific. That team has continued to kind of spin its wheels a little bit, but I'm with you. This is one where there's no value on Skubal. If you like Fried, this is the time to pounce on it, because I do think if you look for, you know, a start or two that's off from Skubal and Fried continues this, you could see this get to even money for both these guys very quickly in the next couple weeks ahead. So it's one to monitor, but there's definitely value on Fried, especially because of the narrative and because of what he's done at the top of that rotation. No Garrett Cole. That's been great for, unfortunately, the Yankees' value of Fried being the savior there. I think that's a really good story that I think people are going to vote for come September.
Yeah, and by the way, it's pitching, so you never know what's going to happen in the next few months too. Right. As opposed to the American League Rookie of the Year, where I, honestly do think Jacob Wilson's going to win the Rookie of the Year. So I mean, I wouldn't bet minus 340, but I can't make a case, Joe, for anyone else. I understand Christian Campbell's going to play first base now, but that's not winning him an award. He's going to still have to hit the rest of the season too. I don't love the other names here. Wilson, fantasy-wise, has been one of the very best picks in all of the American League this season. So good for him. 7 home runs, 30 runs driven in, OPS over 900, and the A's have a building block for the future. Seems to me it's a little bit of an open and shut case, though, for this award.
I don't think it's done quite yet, because there's a guy that could come up in the second half and have a monstrous impact. Again, it's an if, but it's also a tremendous value, and it's Jack Caglione of the Kansas City Royals. Now, Caglione is at plus 3,500 right now on most sites, somewhere around that range. And as great as Wilson has been hitting 350, it's not really the sexiest kind of player, right? I mean, he's a guy that we know he doesn't strike out. He also doesn't walk much. He makes a ton of contact. He does have 7 home runs, so the ballpark has helped him a little bit. So that's been pretty decent. But Jack Caglione, just for reference, in AA this year, had 9 homers and 43 RBI in just 38 games, 322 batting average and 947 OPS. Now, he got promoted a couple weeks ago to AAA. What he's done so far in his first 8 games at AAA, he's at 5 homers and 12 RBIs. He's got a 343 batting average and an 1151 OPS. So if he comes up at the end of June and somehow manages to take this productivity with him, now we thought Nick Kurtz could do that with the Athletics. Unfortunately, he started to get red hot, and now he's had the injury, so that takes him out of this running. But Caglione is a guy to really keep an eye on, because he could really help this Royals offense that just has had zero protection around Bobby Witt this year. It's been really unfortunate. They're towards the bottom of the league in runs scored. That's not where the Royals need to be. They have a good pitching staff, and they can be a playoff team, but they need more offense. If Caglione can somehow get to the big leagues by the end of June, remember, everybody has short-term memory loss, I feel like. What happens in April and May is cute, but by the time we get to, July, August, September, if Caglione makes a huge power impact, you could see these odds shift, and I think there's at least value on him as well. That's one ticket that I would still look to maybe sprinkle a little bit on. Yeah, Wilson's the leader for a reason. He deserves it. I don't look at the Boston guys, Mayer or Christian Campbell right now, but I do look at Caglione as a guy that could make a huge impact going forward in the latter part of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a fair point, Joe. I don't know how you can give Rookie of the Year to somebody who plays 80 games. I don't know. I mean, maybe
we've seen it before.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I unless he was to get called up like really soon. Same thing with Roman Anthony too on Boston. Like I think it just like would have to happen now. I know Rookie of the Year getting called up in May, but he still had most of the season, and I don't think and by the way, I think Caglione's going to be a superstar too. I agree with you. I just don't know that they would give it. Wilson plays 150 games, Caglione plays 80. I think that would factor in. Anyway, all right, Rookie of the Year in the National League, where it's sort of wide open here, because Drake Baldwin is the leader in the clubhouse right now, plus 300 on FanDuel, Joe. But here in South Florida, everybody is pulling for Augustin Ramirez, who's plus 550, who is very much in the mix. And then the Braves have another pitcher, an AJ Smith-Shawver, who's been fantastic too. I think it's one of those three, because I'm just not sure they're going to let Logan Henderson loose here. So I'm going to say one of those three guys wins the Rookie of the Year. And I think my guy here in Miami, Joe, has just as good a shot as any of them.
Yeah, I actually think he's a better wager than Drake Baldwin right now, to be honest with you. But at the same time, I'm not counting out Matt Shaw yet. He was terrific when he got sent down to AAA. He's just come back. He has hit since he's been back in the big league. So at 11-1, he's really intriguing. And I don't want to count out Logan Henderson either. I'm not sold that the Brewers rotation isn't going to yield some more openings as the season goes on. Henderson's been terrific. And the other guy in that rotation potentially at plus 4,000 is Jacob Mizorowski, who they're just waiting for that June Super 2 deadline. And that's coming up pretty soon. That's where you're going to get Bubba Chandler. You're going to get Mizorowski probably getting some looks too. So keep an eye on that, because that could be the determining factor in the National League Rookie of the Year as we go forward. But those two Brewers pitchers and Bubba Chandler, I think, are still interesting long shots. Shaw, I wouldn't count him out yet, but yeah, I think Augustin Ramirez has an opportunity. Baldwin is a fade for me at the top. I just don't think he can sustain the pace he's on.
I would agree. Joe, great stuff. We'll see you this weekend on Fantasy Sports Today. Thanks again for coming on.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
All right. We'll be back talking Memorial Golf. Brady Kannon as they tee off. We'll tell you who's doing what and who to bet right now. We'll be right back.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
And if you go through CAT, that means CAT at 11-1. Could be Eastern Conference Finals MVP. The worst team in the WNBA is the Chicago Sky. They have no perimeter play. They're playing Sloot too many minutes. And Angel Reese doesn't have the help she needs.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series where they rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too strong a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. The Memorial has teed off, so we're going to get the very latest on the leaderboard there and talk about the odds this weekend. Very big golf tournament on the PGA Tour. Let's bring in Brady Kannon for the latest there. And, Brady, we're going to take a look at all of the favorites potentially to win. But I got to say, for those people who are watching golf live or going to be tuning in, like this guy, Ben Griffin, is on fire. What the heck? Like, Ben Griffin wins last week. He's winning again. I mean, this is sort of unprecedented to have somebody come out of nowhere last week and win, and then now is leading the field at the Memorial too. And by the way, I don't really know a lot about Ben Griffin. I better start preparing to bet him.
Yeah, it feels like we've let the animal out of the cage. You know, that's a second win for Ben Griffin in the last couple of months. Last week at Colonial, we were actually on him correctly at the Zurich Classic of New Orleans, the team event, when he and Andrew Novak paired up to each earn their first PGA Tour victory. That was back in April. And I felt that, you know, once those guys were able to do that, having kind of a wingman, you know, beside them to lean on, that was going to help them quite a bit when they were, you know, back to the traditional format of playing as a solo entity and getting across the finish line. And sure enough, that's exactly what Ben Griffin did last week in Fort Worth, Texas, and off to a tremendous start here. 5 under par through 9 holes, 5 under through his first 9, setting the course on fire right now. I don't expect it to hold. He's a very good player. But this is a signature event, Craig. You know, you've got 72 players in the field, the best players in the PGA Tour, and, you know, Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland, Colin Morikawa, all these guys are here. Griffin just apparently riding a wave of momentum right now.
Yeah, serious one, too. One of the favorites to win the Memorial right now. He's 11-1
Yeah.
on FanDuel out of nowhere again, 2 weeks in a row. So these odds have certainly shifted. I'm going to try to update them as we go here. So this was before tee time at the Memorial, our graphic that we're going to show you here. So Scotty Scheffler was plus 280 to begin. Xander was 16-1. He's moved up, cut that in half now to 8-1. He's off to a good start. Colin Morikawa at 16, you see on the board. He's currently at 14. Justin Thomas was 18-1 at tee off. He's moved back to 22. There's Cantlay at 22, about the same. Fleetwood at 25, about the same there. So that's kind of where we stand here. I mean, these are all Scotty Scheffler's tournaments to lose at this point, but Xander off to a good start here. So we got to cut that odds down in half from 16 to 8.
Yeah, just absolutely amazing. And I almost went to Scotty Scheffler this week, but you look at that price and he's like, you know, 6 or 7 times the Scotty's price is where you have the next guy landing in Xander and Morikawa. You know, one guy at basically plus 250, plus 280, and then all the way to 16, 17, 18-1, an incredible gap there. And I felt, you know, I can take 3 guys like a Morikawa and a Fleetwood and a Shane Lowry. Shane Lowry was 40-1. And is Scotty really, does he really have that much of an advantage? Now, he's the defending champ, too. Morikawa finishing runner-up to Scheffler last year. So I did not land on Scheffler. Tried to swerve the favorite this week. We'll see how that works out. May not end well, but I did land on Morikawa, who was basically the second or third choice. Justin Thomas, who's one of the hottest players in the world right now, has finished runner-up a couple times recently, as well as winning at the RBC Heritage the week after the Masters. And then I took Shane Lowry, as I mentioned, at 40-1, who's off to a great start. He's in second place behind red-hot Ben Griffin right now.
Yeah, Lowry threw 9 holes, a few strokes under. Let's get to some of your head-to-head matchups that you like, Brady, for this tournament.
Yeah, I you know, we talked about it off air before we came on. Ricky Fowler off to a great start. And currently, the last time I looked, he was beating Wyndham Clark by 6 shots. So I'm liking the way that matchup is unfolding currently. I took Ricky Fowler at minus 115 to beat Wyndham Clark. Fowler's been playing really well as of late, and just hasn't been the case for Wyndham Clark. He's really been struggling for what seems like, you know, maybe a year and a half or so now. And Fowler really starting to find a groove. This is a course where Fowler's had a lot of success in the past. So, and I thought it was telling that the odds makers were making Ricky Fowler a favorite over Wyndham Clark, a slight favorite, albeit, but I thought that was telling me something. So I played that one. The other matchup I took was Mackenzie Hughes as a decent-sized underdog to Christian Bezuidenhout. Mackenzie Hughes at plus 115 to Bezuidenhout. And I feel that both of those players, very good players, tremendous short games for each of them. I felt they were basically equal. And if you were going to give me plus 15 with one of them or plus 115 with one of them, I felt that was a good play. So those were the 2 head-to-heads for this week.
All right, so the Memorial this week and, you know, U.S. Open coming up next in a couple of weeks. But I'm going to end with you, Brady, with something that we have not mentioned in 4 months. Football season, Brady. Football season coming here. We are almost there. I mean, believe it or not, we're closing in on the preseason. College football starts before you know it. I mean, I think you and I, the last time we discussed any of the contests may have been January. And so here we are almost in June starting next week. So I'm expecting, Brady, for us to having these conversations about your contest shows. I know that that's coming back. I know Circa made the announcement last week. There's going to be a bigger prize pool as well for a lot of their contests coming up this year.
Yeah, the contests were really just announced in the last month or so. The Westgate Superbook made their announcement. They're introducing a college football contest, which is very exciting, something this town has not had on a big level that I can ever remember. $500 entry at the Westgate Superbook. Pick 7 college football games against the spread every week. They are also introducing a survivor contest, $5,000 entry fee into the Westgate Superbook survivor contest. And then, of course, Circa, they come back with more ammo as well. Over $20 million in guaranteed prizes. You've got the Circa Million, of course. You've got Circa Survivor, where I believe they're guaranteeing about $15 million, if I recall. And then the Grandissimo. That is what Derek Stevens and crew introduced for this year. A wild survivor contest where they're guaranteeing $1.5 million. And the entry fee, Craig, I imagine you're going to go for the max 2 entries, $100,000 per entry to get in for the Circa Grandissimo Survivor Contest. Exciting football coming up.
I did not know about the college contest.
Yes.
$500, that's it?
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm jumping in. I'm jumping.
Let's do it.
Great to see you.
No, we're
Have
not.
some fun?
No, if the
What do
Knicks
you
are losing,
mean?
I'm gonna be miserable.
I'll be fine.
I'm gonna be miserable. Really? You know what? I'm saying Knicks are winning tomorrow.
Oh.
Fuck it. Here we go. Knicks are winning tomorrow. See that guy? No, that's the wrong guy. See that guy? See him? He's over his assist prop. Jalen Brunson. He's going over his assist prop.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Heard yesterday that he's got no shot to win the Cy Young because it's going to Scoogle again. Scoogle's winning the Cy Young, no shot for free.
They're both terrific. They both have incredible numbers and credentials and stats and strikeouts and ERA and everything. Like every single category, Fried is right there with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire. Speaking of golf, how about Tiger Woods' son Charlie having a big weekend on the golf course? We'll get to that. Also preview tonight's Eastern Conference Finals series. And, sports betting is kind of interesting when you consider the new rules that are out there individually for people who feel like they got jilted. One individual thinks he did on a golf tournament. Let's get to it. Time now for some last licks. Okay, so this is a trend-setting story. If something comes out of this, we're going to have to keep an eye on this. DraftKings is squarely in the mix of this sports betting controversy. There's a gentleman by the name of Nicholas Bavis, okay? He's filed a lawsuit. Don't know how it's going to go. Don't know if he'll win anything, but here's what he says. He's suing DraftKings and Crown Gaming in Iowa for allegedly voiding a $14.2 million winning bet that he placed on the 2024 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Now, let me get to why he's suing for the $14 million. Well, the tournament itself last year was shortened due to weather, and he is claiming that DraftKings unfairly refunded his parlay wagers that were placed before the final round, which were officially canceled, despite the platform that accepted bets at the time that they canceled his, and the outcomes that aligned with the finalized 54-hole results. In the lawsuit, this gentleman is accusing DraftKings of inconsistent rule enforcement, breach of contract, and consumer protection violations, arguing that the company retroactively changed its rules to avoid large payouts. Very fascinating stuff here because there's really no precedent for this on the PGA Tour as far as betting due to weather. But needless to say, $14 million is a lot. I guess that's what he would have won. Would he accept a settlement of some kind? $1 million, $2 million, $7 million? We'll just have to stay tuned and see which way this goes. No need to stay tuned. This kid, Charlie Woods, the son of Tiger Woods, is going to be a star. Now, whether or not this happens on the PGA Tour or not still remains to be seen. He's still very young. But he carded 8 birdies and shot a 6 under 66 to win the AJGA Team TaylorMade Invitational. Now, what this tournament is, I generally, folks, don't have a clue. But what I can tell you is this is the 3rd time that Charlie Woods has won an event, and it's the first time that he's won a junior championship called TaylorMade Invitational. So get ready, because I would guess in the next few years, something is coming here on the PGA Tour. What kind of success he has definitely still remains to be seen. At this age, in all of youth sports, it's hard to predict what kids are going to do, but certainly having the last name Woods and playing the way that he is, something tells me we're going to be seeing Charlie Woods on the PGA Tour over the next 2 years sooner than later. Meanwhile, we'll be seeing the New York Knicks advance to another day in the Eastern Conference Finals. I'll think this through in the next 30 seconds and give you my answer. Here are the odds. Knicks -4 tonight at home, total of 223. The Pacers are the better team. They have been the better team, and they're getting 4 points tonight. There have been 297 3-1 series in NBA history. 13 teams have come back to win. I'm giving you that data and information because my producer's a Knicks fan. And there's a lot of other data he threw in here that says that there's a possibility the Knicks come back. All right, so here's my prediction, okay? Now, again, don't take me seriously like some of the other people who talk NBA here tonight. I am going to take in Game 5 the Pacers and the points, but I think the Knicks win. I think the Knicks win, and then Indiana wraps it up next game in Indianapolis. But I got to take points with the Pacers. Every time the Pacers are a dog in anything, they either win or cover. Why would I not? Total of 223 game tonight at Madison Square Garden. All right, coming up next, Smiley Kaufman with more on the Memorial at noon. That's followed by Pharrell Coast to Coast. At 3 o'clock Eastern, I'm sure he'll be previewing that game in the NBA tonight. 6 o'clock Eastern, we have Front Office Sports for 30 minutes, so tune in there, followed by Game Time Decisions from 6:30 to 8. And then we have In-Game Live Game Day, and that's followed by Gabe on Sports Rage tonight. Gabe is your go-to when it comes to the NHL tonight as Edmonton takes on Dallas. That game, 8 o'clock Eastern tonight as well. Thanks again to Matt Lutovsky from Sporting News and Brady Kannon, as well as Joe Pisapia for coming on the show and talking some baseball with us. Also, you can download the SportsGrid app. It's available for iOS and Android, and we completely revamped it, so the streaming quality is fantastic. I would encourage you to download it right now. Just scan that QR code that is on your screen, and it's available in both the iOS store and Google Play store as well. So you can download it, and it's completely free. Got absolute baseball going on, so updates on that coming up a little bit later. I will check back with you on the Friday edition of NewsWire. Will we have 2 clinching series victories tonight for the Indiana Pacers and Edmonton Oilers? Something tells me no. I don't think so. I think that we're going to be moving on in one of those 2 series. So we'll recap it tomorrow. Thanks again to Luke. Luke's going on vacation. Have a great time, Luke. We'll see back Frank here tomorrow. And you'll see me tomorrow, too, at 11 a.m. Eastern for our next edition of NewsWire. Hope you have a great rest of your day. See you back here in the morning.